What does a conservation degree look like today? Find out in this episode.
Welcome to the Marine Conservation Happy Hour, where ocean news meets pirate spirit, and every story comes with a twist. Here are your hosts, Dr. Scarlett Smash and Dr. Craken.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Marine Conservation Happy Hour podcast. And I'm joined today by, of course, Dr. Scarlett Smash. How are you doing, Smashy?
I'm doing great, and it's been a while since I've been in college, thankfully. So I'm really glad that we met Ellie at the Sharkapalooza, Dr. Craken. And Ellie, who is going to be joining us, our guest, Eli Warren, she was talking about what her conservation courses were like and what she was doing. And I was like, wow, I'm so far removed from that right now. I have no idea what that's even like anymore. Dr. Craken, you used to actually teach.
Yeah.
So how long ago was that when you were a professor?
Oh, my goodness. I stopped being a professor 8 years ago now. So the world's changed quite a lot in the last 8 years.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say hello to Ellie. Ellie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thrilled to be here. Oh my God, it was so amazing meeting you guys at Sharkapalooza.
Yes. And so are you a shark fan? Is that why you were there? Or was it just conservation in general?
Definitely been a huge fan of sharks my whole life. Been watching Shark Week since as long as I can remember.
Yes.
But definitely the conservation front, and also just all the community action, seeing all the art, seeing a lot of the locals pop out and people moving from out of city to come show off their works was definitely a really amazing experience.
Right? Wasn't that?
It was a
so
fabulous event.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Event.
There was some beautiful artwork there.
Incredible. I'm like, why wasn't I talented like that? But Ellie, we have a question for you. What is it like being a student in conservation right now when, it's really difficult to find conservation jobs? And yeah, you're studying. I have so many questions. So I guess we need to ask first, Dr. Craken, what is it like? What are your classes like? And what are your hopes and dreams?
It's definitely daunting just going into anything ecological right now. Anything regarding conservation, environmental preservation of anything is terrifying right now, especially here in the States. Classes aren't nearly as full as you would hope that they would be in today's day and age, especially as we're heading towards climate crisis and really seeing the effects, especially we've been under a heat dome for the last week and a half now with record high temperatures. And I've seen classes that maybe have 9 students in them when they've got space for 40.
Oh, my goodness.
And which classes are you taking?
I am currently on the cusp of starting up my GIS courses and all of my fundamentals, environmental law, and all that fun stuff. And you go to sign up for your classes and you're thinking, oh my God, I need to research this professor. And then you find out it's maybe 1 or 2 professors that are responsible for the entire program, because there's just not a lot of educators in it like there used to be.
Oh.
I know the field in general has lost a lot of funding over the last couple of years. So
Yes.
it's daunting. It truly is.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yes, I know that. I heard that in R1 universities, they've taken a really big hit because there isn't the money. And in R1 universities, it's all about how much government funds you've got. So it's all IT and tech and AI and blah, blah, blah. And if you can't do conservation with AI, then you're not going to get a job.
Well, it has to also do with how many students are enrolled, right?
Well, that's true. Absolutely. And yeah, the idea of just 5 or 6 in a conservation class.
And it's been the same across the board. Like, I have friends that are in geology. I have a friend that is going for her master's degree in policy with marine life focuses. And even she's in courses that have as few as 12 students in them. And she's going to a renowned university for it. And she's still experiencing the same smaller class loads where the funding's not guaranteed. And it's a time for sure.
Wow, that's wild. That's wild. When we were in college, it was totally different.
Yeah, I have to increase the sizes of my classes and have wait lists and so forth because so many people wanted to do conservation and environmental science.
And that was 8 years ago, right, Dr. Craken?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's insane.
I think there's a level of nihilism that has entered the sphere of, you see things like the doomsday clock set 30 seconds to midnight, 10 seconds to midnight, and you see all of these big corporations and companies that are just moving the way that they are with little standing in their way. And you grow up watching things like Blue Planet, and you want to be the photographer. You want to be David Attenborough, and you want to be Steve Irwin, because that was what my generation grew up with in terms of environmental like ambassadors and role models. And then you grow up and you realize there's not the money in it that it used to be. There's not the sparkle in it. You got to have a thick skin and know that you're just one person. You're going up against something that is systemically ingrained into everyday life.
Okay. Wow. That's some tough. I just don't, I can't even process this, because my thought is, what can we do for our conservation students? I mean, what do students need right now, having to handle all that on their back? Pioneering into a field that's obviously very challenging.
Even more needed than it ever was.
Yeah.
It's the most necessary that it's ever been. It's always been necessary.
Yeah.
Especially
obviously.
as humans have gotten further away from alignment with coinciding with nature rather than just overtaking it, as it tends to be current practice. Honestly, like going into it, it took seeing real life I made it stories that really encouraged me to pursue this passion, because you grow up and obviously schooling, parents, friends, teachers, like you always hear, take the safe bet, go where the money is. And the reality for associate's degrees and bachelor's degrees in anything in regards to whether it be marine, environmental, geologic, conservation, the money's just not there as readily. It doesn't mean that it's nowhere to be found, but there's only so many slots to be filled.
I mean, there definitely is the thing where when you hear success stories about how people got into the field, it is the people who were successful. And you don't hear from all those people who tried to get into the field and then couldn't. So I guess there is that. There is a lot of frustration involved.
There is, and it's definitely disheartening. Like, I am working for a nonprofit right now. I work at Mosey, and being able to have one-on-ones with, because obviously you're working at a place where it's museum of science and industry and innovation, where everyone's like, oh, what are you going to school for? Because half of my peer group at Mosey is in school for one thing or another. And the number one thing I hear from people when I say, oh, I'm going into environmental sciences with aspirations towards conservation is, oh, I wanted to be a marine biologist. Oh, I wanted to be an environmentalist. Oh my God, I wanted to do that when I was a kid. And the question is always why? Well, why didn't you pursue it? Why didn't you go for it? What stopped you? And it's like, well, the money's not there, or I just didn't think it was realistic, or I didn't know the job opportunities that would be available to me, and it was daunting. And I don't think, like, going through high school, I graduated in 2017, and when we were laid out the realistic paths towards life, that was when IT was flourishing for coding and problem solving. And then nursing's always been a backbone of, like, if you go get a nursing degree, you'll be paid for the rest of your life. You're set. And it's all these practical, forward facing, human to human jobs, which, like, of course you're going to push your child, your student, your friend, your coworker, your peer towards something that they think that they'll be able to sustain themselves on. And nobody wants to swing for, it might take longer, but security is there if you go looking for it.
I do know that there have been quite a few of my students who had amazing grades and so forth, who did go and get a nursing degree.
Because of financial stability,
Yes.
right?
And they tended to be female students with kids, which does make a lot of sense. If you've got kids, you need stability. And a lot of conservation jobs, you're jumping from short contract to short contract. You have to go where the jobs are.
Right. So
it requires a lot of travel.
What are your professors telling you about the field, and what kind of job opportunities you guys have?
I mean, the professors that I've had thus far have been very realistic, especially at the level of schooling that I'm currently at, which is pursuing my associates. I'm at the starting tracks of my educational journey, and it's the reality of, be prepared to make 14 to 16 bucks an hour in the state of Florida. Whether that be working at the zoo or working in a lab or just trying to make ends meet at some other 9 to 5 while you're continuing your education. It's definitely the preparation of, you're not there yet, but don't lose faith. Continue your education, continue networking, search where the money's going, and just try to put yourself in those rooms. That was another really big thing that sent me to Sharkapalooza to begin with. And it's part of the reason why when you two were having the conversation at the table about, oh, like the orcas are like overturning yachts. It's like, oh my God, I know about that. Let me stick myself in this conversation and chit chat. And it's just the capacity of, I was some random person walking by and suddenly we were in a full blown conversation.
So, okay, here's another question. I'm sorry. I'm kind of somber over here. I can't believe it. I did not expect it to be this depressing. And I feel for you, Ellie. I really do. I really, really feel for you and all the students. However, what are you guys hoping for? Have you talked to some of your other colleagues and asked them what they want to do and with their degree?
General opinion as it sits is really contingent on political change, honestly. And like that's obviously a very fine line topic to get into, but there's no ignoring the ways that money has moved around environmental studies and environmental protections, and how the loss of those fundings have divvied out into the loss of funding for educational programs, internships, grant money, research, all that fun stuff. But it's very much like, if you're starting now, then your education is going to outlive what's currently going on. You're kind of in this safety zone of you're learning and you're pushing towards this degree. And, colleagues, peers, and especially the professors are like, take it to a bachelor's level, like secure yourself at that point where you have more of a job market to choose from. And by the time that you're there, things are going to be different because they have to be.
That does make sense. I kind of wish that I'd spent more time as a student, because I came out and immediately was hit by there's no jobs available. And if I'd have just slowed down how quickly I went through courses and how quickly I wrote up my dissertation, I could have been applying for jobs. I could have been getting skills, getting all the benefits you get from being at university, like learning how to do GIS and building up my resume and so forth.
That's the catch-22 about pursuing like a genuine passion, is that so much of you just wants to consume that information, and it's not even like you're trying to hurry yourself through it. It's just you're there, you're in it, you want more of it, and then next thing you know, your credit expectations are met, and then you have this piece of paper in your hand and you're like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And you look around and you realize that there's not a whole lot of doors open for you. And to the lucky hundreds that have found a window to crawl through, are the I've made it stories that so many students going into it and so many students that are in the middle of it are looking to, people that are finding placement in policy, people that are championing conservation. And so much of it now is like on the shoulders of these social media influencers that are taking education that they've either recently acquired or gotten when they were in their younger 20s, and they're platforming themselves in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're saying, hey, here's what I'm doing as one person with just the knowledge that I've obtained by being a student and being in those environments. And here's the change that I'm trying to incite. And I think people that are pursuing anything in environmental sciences or conservation or anything in those regards, it's the want to make an impact. No one goes into environmental sciences with the hope of, I'm going to find a desk job and I'm going to be happy. It's the want impact. It's the one of, I see what's wrong with the world. I know what's causing it. I've grown up in it, and I want to be a cog that runs against it. And it's just finding that place to be the change, even if it's just on a day-to-day, I go to the beach and I pick up trash, or I convince somebody to throw a bottle away instead of on the floor.
Yeah, I have to say that some of the students that I taught recently, who I see now still in the field, and because they're posting about the things that they're doing. One, they had a very big dry period where they didn't have anything and they were working in bars and so forth. But I kind of tell that they were incredibly motivated, because they would be the ones at the end of the class asking me lots of extra questions. They would be asking for contacts. They would have sort of side gigs and things like that and ideas. So I don't think it's the case of like back in my day, where if you just graduated, you could just go and get something. It's more like trying to get into Yale or Harvard, where
everything's an audition now.
Yeah.
It's like you are auditioning to say, not only do I have this piece of paper, but I am committed to using it in the best ways possible. Knowing the material isn't enough anymore. It's outright, it's in and out knowledge and capacity for application that's necessary now. And I think that that's the case in a lot of job fields now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And all careers, I think, nowadays. Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't think anything environmental is particularly special in the job market crisis that they're currently facing. I think what really separates environmental sciences away from, like, let's say IT is it's a money issue. It's the fact that these grants that graduate students would be running on to get themselves experience just don't exist in the abundance that they did at one point. And a lot of internships that used to have paid options or just life expenses surrounding them weren't so much that I feel like, from what I've heard and what I've looked into, there's a paywall to experience.
Yes,
in
definitely.
so many things regarding environmental sciences. And it's disheartening for a lot of people because so many people just don't have that cushion or that support, whether it be unto themselves or with their family or with a supportive partner. They just don't have the capacity to say, I'm going to go do this for 6 weeks unpaid.
I do know that a lot of my colleagues who were in NSF, who were giving out grants to support internships, to support people from less privileged backgrounds to get experiences, they were all under the DEI banner. So they've just vanished now. A lot of those opportunities have just disappeared. And also funds to NGOs that will support it have just disappeared. So yeah.
Wow.
It's for a long time, it was a case that if you were wealthy, then you could get to do an internship and, you get all the benefits and you get all the contacts and this, that, and the other. And then it improved. But it sounds like it's gone back to the bad old days, but even got worse because it's now so expensive to live.
Like it's got worse. Yeah.
Yeah. I count myself incredibly fortunate that I have a family that sees that twinkle in my eye. Because I was a kid growing up, Animal Planet. Like, I was never a Nickelodeon kid. If you were to catch me in front of a TV, it was because I was watching a documentary or I was watching Crocodile Hunter or something along those lines. And I looked at my mom one day and I was like, this is it. Like, I've tried medical. I tried to make a career out of dog grooming. I've tried to follow all these other tangential passions that I've picked up in my life experience. But, like, this is it. But it's not going to be an easy road forward. And my mom looked at me and she said, whatever it takes. If you're willing to go through it and you're willing to sit broke, I'll support you for as long as I can.
That's incredible.
And it's that foundation that so many people are missing.
Yeah.
To be able to pursue this confidently.
So you're doing a conservation course at the moment for an associate's degree course. What would you like to see in that course that isn't there now, or you'd like to see more of?
Or what do you like coming out of the course?
Yes.
I mean, the coursework that I'm in now has been extraordinary, truly. The professors that are in it are beyond aware of the circumstance of the job field. They're in education for their own reasons, whether it be passion or whether it be because that's what they landed into. And there's definitely that understanding of, like, here's your resources, here's your next professor to reach out to. Here's what other, like, especially transfer students, because there's a pipeline between HCC and USF, right? And so it's very much that, like, guiding guardrails. This is how I'm going to set you up to success to the best of my abilities. These were the things that helped me in my time, and kind of molding it to today's circumstances. And the upside to the smaller class sizes is definitely that one-on-one teacher-student interaction where there's actually that, like, rapport that's built, and the fact that you're not speaking to the masses, you're speaking to maybe a dozen people. You know their faces, you know their names. They're not just numbers to you. And there's definitely that hope that's sparked, because as nihilistic as the outlook towards the world is, I have been fortunate enough to have one-on-ones with some of my professors, and it's like, it makes me so hopeful just to see the seats that are filled, and that passion gets passed around the room, and it's heartwarming, especially when you know the machine that you're stepping into, and that this piece of paper that you're going to cling to, stepping out, like, the second that you walk off that stage, you're like, I have this piece of paper and it's me against every possible thing that could run against somebody trying to get job placement.
Oh, yeah. That's a conservation field.
Yeah.
For sure.
And there's these professors that are like, you can see them connect with the students that are obviously committed beyond any BS that surrounds it. They're like, no, I'm going to get you in contact with these people. This is the internship that's closest to you. Like, here's funding programs. Like, here's how you can get your textbooks for cheaper. Like, sit down and talk with financial aid about XYZ, and setting these kids up and truly for as much success as one could hope for.
Yeah.
I can't really say that there's anything that I would hope more for out of the classes that I have taken. I do think at this point it wouldn't be a bad idea to offer a summer semester that's specifically about like everything incorporated into knowing what grant opportunities look like and how to pursue them. Because at this point, like,
absolutely,
I mean, just the world of the internet is like the wild, wild west, even still, where you have all these scam sites and paywalls, and you go in thinking that you're paying to put it in this application, and then you put it through, and then realistically, you've just paid to have a list of things you can apply to. And there's a lot of pitfalls that a lot of people fall into just because internet literacy has no means of keeping up with how quickly it's advancing. So just having a course that is surrounded around the means to apply for these things, know what the research looks like, know what real versus not real looks like, and how to put yourself in spaces to apply for them correctly and set your best chance up for receiving that money would probably be one of the most helpful things, I think, to any degree that's grant reliant.
When I was in the UK working for an NGO there, we would often have placement students. There was this scheme that was called a sandwich year, where you would do like your first 2 years regular university or regular college, tend to be colleges more than universities, and then you would have a year with an NGO, and they had agreements with these NGOs. The NGOs would have constant people coming in, and they would have them for like a year, which is really useful because an intern comes in for just a couple of months and then is often away again. But a year, you really get to learn skills and you really get to be valuable. So it's really useful for the NGO. And then you get all this amazing on the ground experience. And then you go back and you finish off your thesis and your final exams and this, that, and the other. And I always thought those were really, really great programs. And the students we used to have were absolutely phenomenal coming through those. And they've pretty much gone off to do amazing, great things. I've seen them appear in a variety of NGOs across the UK and elsewhere. So perhaps we need some more of those sorts of things as well.
I do know that HCC, for several of their environmental oriented programs, has what's called a practicum, which is a full 16-week semester course. Any advisor would highly suggest taking it on its own or maybe with like one other finisher class. And it's 150 hours of just job placement, where the college goes out of its way to be partnered with companies and institutions that are applicable to your field of study. And I think things like that, it's no different than like doing clinical placements for like a nursing degree, where you get that hands-on, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is where I find out if I'm sure. And also just the networking capabilities, the job placement security that can come out of it, especially if you use that time to really shine out and shake hands and follow up with those calls of, hey, I'm finishing my degree at XYZ timeline. I would love to come work for you.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something that's wildly helpful. And I mean, just sitting down with an advisor when I decided to choose this as my desired career path for the rest of my life, it was very encouraging to know that that was built into my curriculum.
Yeah, that is.
Even things like, how do you do a resume or a CV or a job interview in that field? Because if you're in academia, you get told how to do an academic CV and how to do an academic interview, not how to do a real world one. And that's something that certainly held me back for several years back in the day.
And I mean, even if they weren't classes that were built into the curriculum, just college is making a point to offer that as like an extracurricular, whether it be like a monthly seminar that's held, because there's so many things that like it's applicable across the board, that it's not specific to one degree versus another. And it's general rules and guidelines of how to do this. And then if you need one-on-one help, you can speak to the instructor. I think that would be immensely helpful. I do know that some universities do offer kind of like lab studies like that, where it's like a 2 or 3 hour, like, come sit down, we'll teach you how to do this. We're here if you have any questions. But I don't think it's as across the board as it should be, especially with the higher expectations of new hires nowadays. Because now you're rallying up against everyone's looking for the right buzzwords. People are running stuff through AI, where like a person doesn't even see everything you've put onto this sheet of paper, electronic or otherwise. It's scanned through a robot. And if you don't have the choice words in the right order, it's kicked off to the ether before a person can even put their eyes on it.
I was talking to a colleague the other day, and they were saying that, yeah, they got 1,000 applications for a job position, and there's no way that they could look at that. So they said they had to run it through AI. So unless you have the keywords, unless you know how to please the AI, it's tough.
Wow.
I think what's so frustrating about that reality is that, like, yes, you have 1,000 applicants, but if you had a real person sitting down to look at it, you'd probably find at bare minimum, you'd find a good enough match within the first 10 to at least start your interview process and find out whether or not that person is the best fit for whatever it is that you're hiring for. And so they're seeing these immense, like, applications, and instead of having somebody that's actually thumbing through them and being like, oh, like, this person is good at this, but these are their weaknesses, they're just having this AI go through it. And quite frankly, like, the programming is just not where it needs to be in order to humanize those things.
Yes, absolutely.
Because if you type into Google best buzzwords for XYZ application and you throw those on, like, 9 out of 10 chance, like, yeah, you might hit the ringer and it might push you through, but also who knows how these are being coded. If you're relying on what you think's going to go through the AI, but they have those flagged as like, oh, that's bare minimum, that's not what we're looking for, or we want that but better, and you're just trying to find the right verbiage for it, where if a person were to look at that and be like, wow, fast learner, flexible, prompt and on time and multitasking, wow, they could totally be a server at this restaurant. And instead you have like Olive Garden going through like 1,200 applications a day because they're running it through a robot and nobody's hitting, and they're like, well, we can't fill the position. The robots have decided nobody's good enough.
Yeah. Or they're pulling out people of privilege again because they've got all the advantages, all the benefits, all the buzzwords. They had a tutor who could help them to get those buzzwords. And it
saddens me to know how many people get hired at like normal 9 to 5s. Like, we're talking entry level work just because they know somebody that already works there.
Oh yeah. Well, that's been a thing even when I graduated.
Yeah,
but it seems now that seems to be the predominant hiring force because of the use of AI, because nobody's getting through the robot. And so these companies are going weeks to months without hiring anybody because nothing's hit HR's desk. And so they're like, oh, you know somebody? Cool, bring them in.
Yep. That's interesting. That's an interesting perspective, right, Dr. Craken?
It is, definitely. It's very, as you said, it's very somber.
I was going to say very somber, and I'm very sad. But
I think I need to go get a drink now.
But honestly, we needed to hear this because we've been so far removed from the academic world that we didn't know what was going on, and it's important to know what our students are dealing with. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I do think now more than ever that in terms of what people in an environmental sphere are working towards has more hope than it did 10 years ago. I do think that is a very tangible reality when we're seeing the research that are coming out of places like Moat that are trying to bioengineer coral to be more resistant to rising climates. And we see engineering students in Italy that are making hexagonal seawalls to promote coral growth and to help alleviate stormwater pressures. I think that now more than ever, we're seeing a new generation of very well-equipped minds putting themselves to practice in places that are bolstering those efforts, and especially in countries where that funding hasn't been cut. It's not like there's not hope in the world by any means. Like, I do think the more nihilistic approach is a very uniquely North American problem. But there's still those very hopeful stories where you're seeing countries that are like, oh, if you're in environmental sciences, come to us, we want you. So it's not like there's not placement out there. It's just not as homegrown as it used to be.
That's true.
I think they're also struggling with the same kind of, economic struggles.
They are. I do think that the crisis of unaffordability is at this point a universal one.
Oh, it's totally.
Yes.
Everyone's saying that. Everyone is saying that for sure.
It's a very universal problem.
I think it's
the one
just
thing that we can all agree on.
Overseas, the way of living, the lifestyle is more united. And so there's a lot of people living in one home. You know what I mean? Unlike in the United States.
There's more support networks.
Yes, exactly.
Unemployment and healthcare and all this sort of stuff. Yes.
American individualism and the concept of pulling yourself up by bootstraps that broke 20 years ago.
That's the silliest. Come on now. Yeah,
that was not silliness. The path forward by any means. But I also think in other countries, they're not experiencing the same defunding of these programs that we're experiencing in current politics here in the United States.
I think it's coming.
Oh, I don't doubt that it's coming. It's just not there yet.
Definitely think it's coming. Well, thank you so much, Ellie. I really do appreciate you coming on and telling us, your perspective and what conservation is like as a student right now.
And Ellie's at Hillsborough Community College, and it sounds like they have an absolutely fabulous supportive program there.
Absolutely. Dr. Craken, you need to be working for them.
I love community colleges.
By all means, come be my professor.
Yeah, seriously. That sounds like a great university. Incredible. Maybe we need to get one of the professors on the show. Sure.
Yes. Yeah. That'd be amazing. Please do. Yeah,
that'd be awesome, Ellie. Connect us.
I will absolutely shoot him over an email and let him know that y'all are interested.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, Ellie. I really appreciate it. And we're right here supporting you and supporting all the other students that are in your class doing the same thing. So thank you so much for being brave.
Keep on in there.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck in there like a tick, man.
May the force be with you.
And also with you.
Love it. And for everyone that's listening, thank you so much for being part of the Marine Conservation Happy Hour crew.
So we're gonna party till tomorrow.
Hey, Marine Conservation Happy Hour crew, don't forget to hit subscribe and follow us for future episodes. And also refer us. We'd love it. We would also like to hear from you, so please contact us on social media, or you can email us about a topic that you're interested in hearing about. If you're interested in sponsoring this podcast, or you would like us to come visit your science facility and do a live episode, email us at info@absolutelysmashingllc.com. This podcast was edited and produced by Absolutely Smashing. The music is produced by Jolly Shore Lee. Thank you again for listening, and we couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much for being part of the Marine Conservation Happy Hour crew.